Hello, my friends. Today I want to invite you on a journey, one that not only transforms the way you deal with narcissists in your life, but also reshapes how you hold on to your inner power through every storm. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling completely drained? No bruises on your body, yet somewhere deep in your chest there's a hollow space, as if someone had stolen your light. Your emotions feel twisted, turned against you, manipulated into self-doubt. If that sounds familiar, chances are you've encountered a narcissist, masters of manipulation, who thrive on control and sow confusion in the minds of others. They don't strike with fists, but with words sharp as blades, cold stares, and subtle psychological games. They make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. They make you question your own reality. But today, I'm going to give you a weapon. Not to retaliate, but to protect yourself. A single question, sharp as a sword, that can slice through their illusions and reveal their true nature. We won't stop at just recognizing narcissists. We'll go deeper into their minds, their insecurities, their fragile egos, and the dark motivations that drive them. More importantly, you will learn how to reclaim your power and protect your inner peace without losing your compassion or getting pulled into their emotional chaos. This isn't a battle to change them, because, as Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This is a journey of self-mastery, standing strong in the storm and walking out of the shadows of manipulation with the light of inner freedom. Stoic philosophy will be our guiding light, helping you not only deal with narcissists, but also turn every difficult conversation in life into an opportunity to train your soul. Are you ready? Let's unlock this secret so no one will ever steal your peace again. To deal with narcissists, those who thrive on control and manipulation, we must begin by deeply understanding them, not to justify their behavior and not to try to change them, but to see through the facade they construct so we can protect our own inner peace. A narcissist's behavior isn't a random brushstroke on the canvas of life, it's a carefully choreographed performance, a scripted play designed to pull you into the role of an unwilling audience. They believe they are the center of attention, that the world should revolve around them, and that others exist solely to serve their inflated sense of self. They crave admiration like a parched tree craves water, yet they lack empathy, treating it not as a true human emotion, but as a mask to wear when convenient. Stoic philosophy, with its timeless wisdom, prepares us to face people like this. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king of Rome, once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, 'Today I will meet people who are arrogant, deceitful, self-centered, and selfish.'" These words aren't meant to spread gloom, but to ground us in reality. Narcissists are an unavoidable part of life. You can't stop them from appearing. You can't force them to change their nature. That's beyond your control, like the strong winds blowing over a mountain. But what you can control, and must control, is how you respond to them. Their behavior reflects their own distorted ego. Your response reflects your self-mastery and inner strength. Narcissists don't attack with physical force. They use far subtler weapons. Carefully chosen words meant to plant doubt, cold stares meant to shake your confidence, and psychological tactics designed to pull you into an emotional spiral they control. They want you to explode in anger so they can point fingers and say you're the problem. They want you to feel guilty for setting boundaries so you'll open the door again and let them continue their manipulation. They want you constantly explaining yourself, exhausting your energy trying to prove your worth, something they will never truly acknowledge. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, warned us, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind was complicit in the provocation. This is the key to breaking their game. Don't let them drag you into the emotional storm they've created. When you stay calm, when you refuse to play your part in their drama, you take away the very fuel they need to keep their manipulation alive." So, how can you recognize them early, before you get caught in the web of manipulation? Pay attention to the red flags, those unmistakable warning signs like fire flares in the darkness. First is their sense of entitlement. Narcissists believe they deserve special treatment, that everyone else should sacrifice for them without question. If you say no to one of their unreasonable demands, they won't respond with the grace of a healthy person. Instead, they'll lash out. Or worse, they'll make you feel like you've committed an unforgivable sin. For example, imagine a friend who expects you to always be there for them, yet they're never around when you need support. The one time you say no, they respond with, "I can't believe how selfish you are." That's your first sign. They don't care about fairness. They only care about being served. Next is a chilling lack of empathy. Narcissists don't truly care about your feelings, though they may pretend to when it benefits them. When you share your pain, they dismiss it with phrases like, "You're being dramatic," or "Everyone has problems, not just you." They never put themselves in your shoes, because in their world they're the only ones who matter. Think back to a time you tried to open up about your struggles to someone like that. Did they truly listen, or did they quickly shift the focus back to themselves? Their indifference isn't an accident. It's who they are at their core. Another red flag is their excessive need for admiration. They don't just want compliments, they crave praise like it's oxygen. If you don't give them the attention they expect, they become irritated, distant, or even aggressive just to pull the spotlight back to themselves. I once knew a co-worker who bragged about their accomplishments in every meeting. But when I achieved something noteworthy, they either ignored it or found subtle ways to downplay it. And when I didn't applaud them, they grew visibly upset, as if my silence was an insult. That's how they operate. Their ego is a fire that constantly needs fueling. But the most dangerous and most subtle sign is manipulation. Narcissists are masters at distorting reality. They'll deny things they clearly said, making you question your own memory, a tactic known as gaslighting. They'll twist the narrative to make you look like the villain, even when you're just trying to protect yourself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you stay in their manipulative orbit too long, your mind begins to shift. You start to wonder, was I really wrong? Am I just being too sensitive? That's exactly what they want, to confuse you so thoroughly that they can control you completely. So how do you break free from this toxic cycle? The secret lies in a simple but razor-sharp question. Can you explain why your needs are always more important than mine? Or a variation, how do you feel when you dismiss my boundaries just to satisfy your desires? This isn't just a question, it's a mirror held up to their face, forcing them to confront themselves. A healthy person will pause, reflect, and may even acknowledge their mistake or seek a compromise. But a narcissist won't. Instead, they'll respond in one of three predictable ways. 1. Anger. They'll lash out, insult you, or accuse you of being selfish. Their goal is to intimidate you, to make you retreat and drop the challenge. I once asked an acquaintance, "Why do you always expect me to give in but you never do the same?" They screamed, "Who do you think you are to say that to me?" That rage wasn't strength. It was the desperation of a threatened ego. 2. Denial. They'll pretend the problem doesn't exist. "I never did that," they'll say, even when you have clear evidence. This is gaslighting in its most refined form. They want you to question your reality. Once, I asked a friend, "Why do you always blame me every time we argue?" They replied, "You're imagining things. I never do that." But my memory didn't lie. Only they did. 3. Playing the victim. Instead of answering, they'll flip the script and cast themselves as the wounded party. "I can't believe you would treat me like this," they'll say, maybe even with tears to disarm you emotionally. I once asked a family member, "Why do you act like my feelings don't matter?" They responded, "I've done everything for this family, and now you say this?" They didn't answer the question. They just wanted me to feel guilty. No matter how they respond, this question strips away their mask. They can't answer it logically because their behavior isn't rooted in reason. It's rooted in control. But knowing how to expose them is just the first step. The next, and most important, step is to protect yourself with boundaries. Not rigid walls to push everyone away, but clear rivers that you alone decide who may cross and who must stay on the other side. Setting boundaries with a narcissist isn't easy because they see your limits as a challenge to conquer. A healthy person will respect a firm no, but a narcissist sees it as a declaration of war. They'll try to bait you into arguments, make you feel guilty, or find cracks in your armor. That's why your boundaries must be simple and unshakable. Don't over-explain. Explanations are openings they'll use to attack you. Instead of saying, "I don't want to keep arguing because it's exhausting," say, "I'm not continuing this conversation." And when they push back, repeat your boundary with the calm stillness of a rock in a river. No yelling, no trembling. I remember once facing a manager who constantly assigned tasks far beyond my responsibilities. When I said, "I can't take on any more," they replied, "If you want to succeed, you need to push harder." I didn't argue. I simply asked, "Why is my balance less important than your goals?" They didn't answer, just avoided the question and kept applying pressure. I repeated, "I'm not taking on any more." Eventually, they had no choice but to back off, because I didn't give them the chance to drag me into an emotional battle. Seneca once said, "A great power must be used with gentleness. Your calm firmness, your quiet resolve is the most powerful weapon against manipulation." Let's apply this in real life. Suppose you have a family member who constantly criticizes you. They say, "You never do anything right." Instead of defending yourself, ask, "How do you feel when you tear me down instead of supporting me?" Observe their reaction. It will tell you everything. If they lash out, deny it, or play the victim, there's no need to continue the argument. Simply say, "I don't accept being spoken to that way," and walk away. In a relationship, if your partner constantly invalidates your emotions with, "You're just too sensitive," ask them, "Why do you think my feelings don't deserve respect?" If they can't answer that honestly, you already have your answer about the value of that relationship. The Stoic philosophy teaches us that we don't need to argue with those who refuse to listen. Marcus Aurelius said the best revenge is to be unlike your enemy. So when you ask the hard questions and they react poorly, don't fight back. Observe. Stand your ground. Let their behavior speak for itself. You don't need to change them, you only need to protect yourself, and that true power. Not defeating the narcissist, but overcoming the fear and self-doubt within your own heart. We've talked about how to recognize narcissists, about the sharp question that exposes them, and the importance of boundaries. But now, let's go deeper into the real battleground, daily life, where narcissists don't just appear like fleeting shadows, but often take permanent roles: co-workers, friends, family members, or even your partner. How can you not only survive them, but stand tall like a mountain in a storm, unshaken, unbroken? Stoic philosophy isn't just a shield you pick up when needed. It's an inner fortress you must build, day by day, moment by moment, so that no one, narcissist or any other challenge, can breach your peace. Imagine facing a situation where the narcissist doesn't just use words, but tries to invade every corner of your life. A boss, for instance, who not only expects you to work overtime without pay, but frames it as a test of loyalty. They say, "If you don't do this, I'll know you're not truly committed to the company." This isn't a work request, it's a psychological trap, designed to make you feel like your worth is measured only by how much you serve them. In that moment, your instinct might be to argue, to explain how much you've already done, to plead for your right to rest. But that's exactly the doorway the narcissist wants you to walk through. They're waiting for your emotional chaos so they can pull you into their game. Instead, apply the Stoic principle: keep your mind calm, like a still lake, undisturbed by the strongest winds. You don't need to over-explain or justify your value, because your value does not lie in their hands to judge. Just say, "I'm not working overtime," and stop there. When they respond with blame, saying things like, "You're not a team player," ask, "Why do you think my balance should be sacrificed for your expectations?" That question isn't meant to argue. It's a mirror, reflecting the absurdity of their logic. If they can't answer reasonably, if they resort to personal attacks or avoidance, you have your answer. They're not interested in fairness, they're interested in control. And from there you can make a bigger decision. Is this a place truly worthy of your energy anymore? Now let's shift to a more personal scenario. A family member who constantly puts you down. They might say things like, "You've never done anything worthwhile. It's no wonder your life is like this." Those words aren't just criticism. They're poisonous arrows aimed at your self-worth, hoping you'll react defensively or in anger so they can continue playing the superior role. In the past, you may have tried to explain yourself, to prove you're not the failure they claim, but every explanation only drains you further, and they're never truly satisfied. This is where Stoic philosophy becomes your guiding light. You don't need their approval to know your worth. Instead of falling into the trap, ask, "How do you feel when you tear me down instead of lifting me up?" Say it with the calm of a philosopher, not the rage of a warrior. Watch their reaction. If they lash out, "How dare you speak to me like that?" That's their ego wounded. If they deny it, "I'm just trying to help you." That's a lie hiding their real intentions. If they play the victim, "I've sacrificed so much for you and this is how you treat me?" That's manipulation through guilt. Whatever their reaction, you don't need to argue further. Simply say, "I no longer accept that kind of language," and stand your ground. Your firmness, your refusal to join their emotional game is what takes away their power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When you choose not to let their words shake your inner peace, you've already won, not by defeating them, but by rising above them. What happens when the narcissist doesn't stop at words? When they try to violate your boundaries through action? Imagine a friend who constantly demands your time, money, or attention, but never shows up when you need them. When you say no, they don't just get angry, they try to punish you, maybe by spreading rumors or humiliating you in front of others. This is when your boundaries must become more than words. They must become action. Don't just say no, live it. Stop responding to their texts. Stop showing up when they call. Stop giving them access to your life. A narcissist only has power when you're within reach. Step outside that circle and they lose control. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Many people fear setting boundaries because they imagine terrible consequences. If I say no, they'll hate me, or if I don't explain, they'll misunderstand me. But what's the reality? When you hold firm with calm and clarity, the narcissist eventually moves on, because they cannot survive without a supply of attention. I once had a friend who would talk for hours about their problems, but never once asked about mine. When I finally said, "I can't keep doing this," they tried to guilt me with, "You're my friend, how can you abandon me?" I asked, "Why do you think I should always listen but never be heard?" They couldn't answer, and when I stopped reaching out, they disappeared quickly. That was the lesson. They didn't need me, they needed what I could do for them. So what is the most profound advice from Stoic philosophy in all of this? Don't wait for the narcissist to change. Don't hope they'll one day recognize your worth. That illusion only brings more pain. Instead, focus on cultivating your mind like a garden. Sow self-discipline, water it with patience, and guard it from the weeds of manipulation. Every time you face a narcissist, ask yourself, is this worth losing my peace over? The answer is always no. Remember, you don't need their approval to live a meaningful life. Real strength lies not in conquering them, but in standing tall, unshaken, unmoved, like a mountain in the wind, beautiful, resilient, and untouchable. Dear friends, we've walked together through a journey, not just to deal with narcissists, but to reshape ourselves in the forge of Stoic philosophy. You cannot change them. That's a bitter truth, but also a liberating one. Narcissists live in a world of their own, where manipulation is their breath and control is their heartbeat. But you can change the way you stand before them, not as a victim, but as an unshakable flame that cannot be extinguished. The question, why are your needs always more important than mine, is more than just a tool to expose them. It's the wind that clears the fog so you can see your own path clearly. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Don't waste time debating what a good person should be one." Don't get caught in the trap of trying to fix narcissists or demand fairness from them. That only drains your power. Instead, focus on building your boundaries like the pillars of an inner temple, where your peace is protected no matter how fierce the storm outside. Seneca also reminds us, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Don't let the fear of confrontation or the desire for validation dim your strength. Every time you stand your ground, you're not just defeating the narcissist, you're overcoming your own fear. So today, take action. When a narcissist shows up, keep your heart still, like a lake untouched by the wind. Ask your questions with the calm clarity of a philosopher, and observe, not to judge them, but to understand yourself more deeply. If they cross your boundaries, respond with unwavering firmness. No long explanations needed. Your peace is your greatest treasure. Don't let anyone steal it. And beyond that, ask yourself, who do I want to be in this life? Stoic philosophy doesn't just teach you how to survive narcissists. It teaches you how to live a life worth living, strong, free, and whole. Walk forward from here with a powerful commitment. No one can shake your soul unless you allow it. My friends, true strength isn't about conquering others, it's about mastering yourself. Thank you for joining me today. If this journey has brought you value, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found meaning in this message, share it to help spread the light. I'll see you in the next video where we continue forging the soul and living a life of deeper purpose. Wishing you peace and strength.